I'd like to do a quick check of people.
Yeah. Name.
Nick, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Denise. Can you hear us? Okay. And hi, Pat.
Pat's having a snack. Okay, I have 7 o'clock. So we'll call this meeting to order. Noting that, is Robert online? No, that Robert Nye is absent. Marina was there earlier. Is she on now? Or not quite yet? She will be, I'm certain. She was at the prior committee meeting. Everyone else is here. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which is behind the screen. You don't have to move it, we can see. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Marina's just joined us. The mission statement: the Viroqua Area School District provides a quality education for all students that inspires continuous learning, positive relationships, curiosity, and compassion, an environment that welcomes diversity while developing respectful and responsible citizens. We have 2 student representatives, and I'm going to have Jason introduce Ethan and Henry tonight.
So our 2 representatives, both senior boys, we have Henry Rolls and Ethan Tubin, our 2 reps. They're both student council members that expressed an interest in serving with about, I think, 4 or 5 others expressed interest in also kind of rotating through and participating in these meetings.
So if you 2 don't mind, I'm going to have you move up a little closer so you're by this, and look perhaps that way since it's recorded. And I'll have you go ahead and tell us just briefly a little bit about yourselves. And
Okay, I'm Henry Rolls. I'm a senior in student council. Right now I'm on football, and hopefully, if it can happen, improv in the fall or spring, however that can happen.
Thank you for your willingness to serve on the board with us. We appreciate it.
I'm Ethan Tubin. I'm also a senior, also in student council. Only sport I play is hopefully tennis. So yeah.
Do you want to tell us anything about anything else? How long have you lived here? Did you guys grow up here?
Both of us moved here.
Oh, great. Okay.
So that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Me as well.
I've been here since 5th grade,
Okay.
2014.
All right.
I moved right after Christmas break in 6th grade.
Okay. Well, once again, thank you both for your willingness to serve. If there's ever anything that we can do or information that you would like, please don't hesitate to call. Obviously, Jason is your main contact, but we're really happy to have you here. If you have any ideas of anything that we can do better, please feel free to share those ideas. All right, thank you. Nice to meet you.
One of the first students I met here.
Oh, really?
He was on the interview team.
There you go.
He was the young one, and all the teachers were shocked. They're like, well, was he really talkative? I'm like, no, he's pretty quiet. They're like, Ethan?
Yeah. Yeah.
Quiet like a bear.
Exactly.
Well, part of the idea is for you to share ideas from the student body. So part of your responsibility and some of the things that are going on. So we hope that you will, as well as learn kind of how the process works, which your dad could obviously tell you that too. So the next item is Trillium. So tonight I know that we have Denise, and is Nick also going to be speaking a little bit? Nick is there as well. So let's go ahead and we'll have Tom begin here.
Yeah, so we're gonna give a Trillium Middle School Charter update tonight. Denise and I sat down a couple of times over the summer and really started the work of trying to understand our charter contract and what everything what everything means. And so we are excited to bring on Nick. Now, Nick, I'm going to get this right. That was part of the WRCCS, which is the Wisconsin Resource Center for Charter Schools. And he's really been helpful already, even though it's only been a couple of meetings that we've met, in really helping us understand what our roles are in that agreement and how we can best serve all students in rural area schools. So with that being said, I think Denise, you want to just explain where you guys are as far as Trillium Middle School in the process right now?
Sure, thanks. And can you hear me okay as I'm speaking?
We can. I'm also going to say Vicky Koppa just joined us too. So
Great. Yeah, it's good to see all of you. Thanks so much for including us on the agenda. Excited to share with you kind of where we're at. Essentially, we, Trillium Middle School, so it's a 7th and 8th grade charter school here in the district. And it left the gates before we even had an organized contract, before we had a governance council. And so here we are, 3 years into, is that right? Yes, 3 years into the program and now charter school running. And we're realizing that we would all be served. Just pause and make sure that we're really clear on what our roles are. Because there's quite a few different levels of stakeholders, right? I'm on the governance council, I'm the president. And then we have our administration, we have our lead teacher, our other teacher, we have parents, we have school board, we have our community here, and we all want this school to serve our students in the best way possible, using project-based learning as the main arch. And we've been tripping over each other a little bit because of lack of clarity. And so that's why I reached out to Nick, and Nick has started working with our governance council team, which includes our teachers, and John Schneider comes to all of those meetings. Kim Little has started coming to our meetings, which is great. And Nick is going to be doing a variety of training sprints really geared towards helping us get more clear on our roles, but also we will likely uncover some other pieces. We're like, oh gosh, here's something we didn't know that we probably should know. And so he's customizing the training sprints based on our specific situation. But we're starting with roles. And then the next thing is to look more closely at how we can measure the success of our school based on what we're setting out to do, and see where it takes us. I know that Nick recorded a training, like a short kind of overview that was a more abbreviated version of what we recently had at our governance council meeting. And did your group get a chance to watch that before tonight's meeting?
Beth did send that out to all of the board members to preview before the meeting tonight. Yes.
Great.
So it was one.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so Nick is here too, and I think, I don't need to speak too much more. I'm really curious to hear if there are any questions coming from any of the school board members that maybe Nick or I could respond to, or even just hold as like, oh, we don't know, but that will be something we should add to our list. So, yeah.
Does anybody have any questions that they would ask of Denise or Nick? Did Vicky or Marina, do you have any questions for Denise or Nick? No? So the only thing that I can say to Nick is I thought it was very well done, very informative. The details were fantastic. I'm really happy that the Governance Council is working with Nick. I personally look forward to some future meetings because I know the process is just starting. So I'm looking forward to getting some updates about the academic progress of the students at Trillium. We have gotten some of that information in the past from our other charters. I shouldn't say some of that information. We have received information like that from our other charters in the past. And so I look forward to that coming forward from the Governance Council. And then some of the procedures that the council is going to take on moving forward, some of the processes and procedures. And I also wanted to thank Denise for her leadership with the Governance Council, because I know whenever you start something new, just as you did with Montessori, there are some bumps in the road. I'd also like to thank John for his involvement. It took a while to even just come up with the name Trillium, and I think that took close to a year, and the charter had already started. So like you said, it was a bit of a whirlwind getting started, and I think moving forward, I think it will be very beneficial to see the academic progress, the goals, goal setting, what your goals look like. Ours are on our agenda every time we meet so that we can look at our goals. I will tell you one piece that I feel has been very beneficial on the boards that I've been involved with is a calendar. Having a calendar of annually the discussions that you're going to have and the topics that you're going to address. Obviously that changes a little bit as time goes on, but that calendar really gives you a framework to follow as far as what you're trying to achieve throughout the academic year. So thank you very much. Nick, did you want to add anything?
No, you already had to put up with 11 and a half minutes of my video, so I don't want to take up any more of your precious time this evening. I'm definitely here. We're partners with DPI. We are a federal grant that DPI has received. So our office was created to provide support for authorizers such as yourself as a school board, for governance boards with Denise's team and Trillium, for school leaders, and then all the way down to classroom models. So if you should want guidance, or you have questions, or other things are coming up in your community and you want to reach out to us, I'd love to make myself available to your school board to answer those questions as they relate to the contract or the agreement with Trillium, as well as your other charter schools. So I just, again, as I stated in the video, I thank you very much for being really, I can hear your mission that you're reading at the beginning of every meeting, but I think you're really living it. Just looking at your own portfolio of schools and the different offerings, you really are giving students and families in your community options. And I applaud that, and I'm honored to serve you should you need it.
So a question for you, did I get this right? Are there over 40 videos that you have put together that people can access? Say that it was some very large amount of videos.
Yeah. Yes. There's probably more than 40, unfortunately for you all, and a lot of them, so we're in the world of asynchronous, right? We are in the world of we're busy people, and sometimes we need to catch up in our pajamas. So yes, a lot of this is available when it's convenient for you. We have 49 different e-courses that are created that are basically just-in-time information, 11 of which are designed for authorizers, which is your school board. And then inside those have several different videos that kind of cover some of the big topics. But we're more than willing, if we know, like Tom, you did such a nice job of just articulating what you needed, and then we can sort of put something together and you can watch at your convenience and then shoot us with questions. So that I don't have to be zoomed into your meeting and take some of your precious time to dialogue and discuss.
So could I request that anything that you believe is relevant to us or beneficial to us, if you could forward, shoot, or not me personally, but send to Tom, that he can then send for our board to review? Any videos that you've created for Trillium or Montessori or Laurel or any of those, if you could shoot those to us as well, because obviously the more informed we are, the better we are to serve our district.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, and I did reach out to Nick even for trying to put together a calendar for our all of our charter schools on when they should, examples of some other districts that have multiple charters and how we give, a spotlight on top of, talking about some of those performance indicators, as well. So we are working on that, and he said already has replied with, well, here's what all of these other school districts do. So we'll be sitting down and
Great.
continuing to work on that.
That's wonderful. So thank you. Thank you for your leadership. We appreciate it very much. And thank you again, Denise, for your leadership in the district. I know it's a lot of work and we appreciate it.
Yeah,
Any-
thanks so much for having us, Angie.
Oh, sure. Anybody else? All right, we will go on.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And you're more than welcome to stay, but obviously not necessary. I've been told that our board meetings are not that fascinating, so, but you're more than welcome to stay. Do we have any public comment, Beth? No, none. Is
They are
there?
Fascinating, don't let her. You guys are towards the end of the agenda, so.
And if you close your eyes, none of us will know. It's the beauty of being back there. If I can have a motion to approve the consent agenda, proof of public notice, approval of the agenda, September minutes, and voucher summary 1 in the amount of $365,977.63 as presented. Second? Who was second?
Second.
All right, Matt, second. Any comments or questions? With that, all in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next agenda item is voucher summary 2. Motion to approve the voucher summary 2 in the amount of $269,413.36 as presented. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Comments or questions? I believe that Kim stated that next month.
Well, actually, next month is October probably, so it'll probably be December. The next
Okay.
month will be October expenditure.
Okay, so it'll be
Like
December.
I'll be-
Okay, you'll be able to vote?
Yep.
Okay. All right, with that, all in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Abstention?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Donations over $250. Is there a motion to accept donations in the total of $4,305.82? Whereas 2009-18-82 is from the Viroqua Food Cooperative from September Roundup for Farm to School, which by the way, I participated. $250 from VARC for a teacher appreciation grant, and $1,145 from various Viroqua businesses for pre-K book of the month. And we would like to thank them as always for their generosity. Is there a motion?
So moved.
All right, motion from Matt, a second from Marina. Any comments or questions? With that, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries. Appointments. Motion to approve the appointments of Brannigan Sandwick, grade 2 teacher, Alyssa Hooker, special education para, Barry Byron, special ed, Byrne, sorry, I'm sorry, special education para, Rebecca Heidel, special education para, Aaron Murdoch, Vernon County Better Future Program Aide, Pat McGuire, part-time custodian, Austin Jones, football assistant coach. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? All right, any comments or questions? So Beth also forwards us with the packet of information, how many people applied, who was on the interview committee, and a little bit of information about the folks that we're hiring today. The one thing that I would like to note for our board is that there were not a lot of applicants for the positions, and I'm saying that not that the applicants are not highly skilled, highly trained, highly motivated, and worthy of the positions, but we in the past received perhaps more applicants for some of our positions. And as we move forward throughout the years, it's just something that we should be well aware of. Some of the applications had 2, some had 5, and that's a little worrisome. Once again, not to say these applicants are not fantastic.
Yep, and with that being said, we were very, very blessed to find high quality candidates. So we're excited to have them on board.
That's great. Any other discussion? With that, all in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next item is the 2020-21 Spring Start College Now an online course request. Is there a motion to approve the 2021 Spring Start College Now and online course request as presented? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? This is something that happens every year. And how many applicants are there, Jason?
Between the 2 categories, I believe there are 6.
6 applicants. Any?
And this would just be for the spring applicants, and then
Okay.
come the springtime, we would have fall come up for them.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that we should be? It was pretty.
The only other thing
pretty
I
well
would say
defined.
is, and whether it's just trivial, the Start College Now applicants, I believe, are all Western, as far as applications go.
Okay. And are they accepted in the program already? Is there room for them in those programs?
This starts the process, and then
Okay.
this has to be the first step that they go through.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope it works smoothly for the students. Any other questions? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the early graduation request as presented. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? Jason, anything you want to add? This once again happens every year.
I believe we have
There's a
10
few.
requests this year.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
more
which-
than usual.
I would say to some degree it's been trending, and not just here, but it's been trending higher a lot of places to begin with. I don't think the pandemic probably caused a decrease in the number
Sure.
by any means, but I think for different reasons, I think, if they meet the requirements in 3.5 years instead of 4 is kind of an arbitrary number. To some degree decided way back when. So we have high requirements, and once they complete them, and if they do a good job, they pretty much they can't really mess up to get done in the 3.5. So compliments to the 10 who have their schedule set up that way, and best wishes, I guess, to some degree.
Sure. Any other questions? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we wish all of the students only the best of success. The next item is policy updates, which we have a lot. Is there a motion to approve the policy updates as listed on the agenda above? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Matt, would you like to speak, or Kim speak at all to the policies being presented?
Policies in general are, Neola is the company that we use to give us our updates, does a fantastic job. And most of these are going to be due to some policy updates and some law change updates. So in that first section, I think a couple that stood out, small unmanned aircraft systems, was something that as we have events where people are wanting to bring drones in, that they have to get permission from the district in order to do that. And then the onus for insurance and FAA requirements and licensures and things like that is on the owner of the aircraft. So those are the big thing. One of the big things there. PPE equipment as well. There's an update there, and it's not necessarily to call out specific PPE. It's just to say that whatever the requirements are as we move forward, that during epidemic events that the district has some guidelines in place there. Those are under the new ones, revised. I think the big one there is 5,200 for attendance. And attendance essentially is saying, and the update there is for virtual learners, that anyone who is learning virtually, that isn't counted against them in attendance because they're not on premise. So that's going on. The rest are pretty straightforward during the readings. So, Kim, you have any updates? Or?
Oh, everything else is pretty standard legal updates.
Thank you. Thank you for being on that committee. There's a lot on there. Did they tell you that all the students have to read all of our policies?
Hope not.
I enjoy policies. Not everyone does, but it is part of being on the board. And if at some point you want to read one just to see what they look like, they're on our website. So thank you. Any discussion? With that, once again, thank you for your time putting that together. Thank you, Beth, as well, and Tom. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is the 2020-21 goals and priorities. This is informational. And I know all of the administrators have posted their goals. If you don't mind, I am going to go through, I'm going to go to each administrator and have them, I know we read them, but have them talk about their goals a bit.
Angie, did we skip 9A, 9B?
9A, 9B goals.
No, for the goals.
We're at the goals.
We're at the goals. Mine must be.
No, technically we did the voting on the policies that were above.
Yep.
And he talked about all the policies. So 9A is the
Oh, actually,
special board meeting, and 9B is
Yep.
the first reading. Or 10 or whatever, I don't know.
well, oh, actually, information, that's what confused me. So there's a special meeting on October 26th, which I believe everyone is aware of for budget. So that's just an FYI, but then
The first.
9B, that's just informational.
Right.
So, right, so I did skip 9, so I apologize for
Okay.
that.
I just wanted to make sure I was on the same page.
Oh, no, you're on the right page and I missed that, so I am sorry. So 9, pardon me?
I confused you.
I don't know that you did. I think I can do that probably all by myself these days. So information. So special meeting is on October 26th, and that will be budget meeting. And part of the reason for that is that the state did not release the final budget until what, the 15th of October, Mike?
It's always on October 15th.
Right. So we had a budget meeting this evening and discussed that, and then we will need to approve a budget before the end of the month. And so we're going to do that on the 26th. First reading of policies, and there's once again quite a few. There's a new one. No, there's several new ones. There's several revised ones. And this would be the first reading for those. If anyone has any questions about the first reading of any of these policies, please contact Tom so that he can then present it to the policy committee. With that, we will then go to the goals and priorities. So thank you, Tom, for that. No, don't apologize. We'll start with Mike, Business Services.
Okay. You know, my goals are going to be different than the building principal's goals as they have been in the past. I try to look at what the Board of Education's district goals are and then kind of build off of that and get to the priorities. And basically it is, as I mentioned, a lot of our communication in the last 6 to 8 months has been, communication about, educational and safety issues. And that's understandably, but as this year continues, and we even had the conversation a little bit at the committee meeting earlier, that we still need to continue on with the business of the school. And, included in that is a 5-year comprehensive plan that most likely is a 3-year comprehensive plan because everything gets ramped up on us. And so that's a big part of what, my goal is and where that's going. And then, there is money out there right now. We're very fortunate in this district to have a healthy Title I allocation. Our Title II allocation's nice for a district our size. Title IV, we're in that second tier of allocation. Our ESSER funds were very strong. We did qualify for the GEAR funding. But sometimes with those additional funds comes a challenge of using them properly to meet the goals that we know we have to do. And it's not a matter of just, hey, let's go buy a bunch of stuff if we understand that that stuff is not going to do anything towards our overall goal. So I've been working with Kathy and Tom and Pat and Krista Woodward and John and Jason. And we're starting to, albeit probably a little bit on the backside, but I mean, we're ramping it up, trying to get going again on it. How are we going to best use these funds? And that's the other side of my goal. So.
Thank you. Any questions for Mike? The next one, how about Kathy, Student Services?
Sure. Let me just step up here so I can stand up. Mine kind of have two hats. I did a student services side with the mental health and emotional health learning kind of a goal. And then the other one with the special ed type of goal, especially in this crazy time that we're living in, taking our special ed team and still moving forward with those goals that they're learning and meeting their special ed goals. So those are kind of the two that I have. One is a social and emotional learning goal, and the other one is more of a student services or a special ed needs academic goal moving forward.
It's an unusual year.
It is.
To goal set.
It is.
So
it is.
Are these, I see how you moved through all of them and how you prioritized, and I mean, it makes sense. Are you finding that this process was more difficult this year?
Yes.
Probably because that district administrator, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and also, I think teachers understand how to teach when the kids are right in front of them.
Right.
It's harder to teach when the kids are not in front of them or can kind of get away from you. A special ed teacher, especially when they're in front of you, I mean, personally, I remember telling a student one time, you will graduate. If I have to wrap a rope around you and haul you across that stage, you will graduate and we will work it through and all of that stuff. It's hard when you can't get them. 70% of our special ed students are coming in face-to-face, even on multiple days, more than their cohorts are. And they're starting to work through, this is what we need. So I believe that they're making the steps to move forward and we're going to get there, but it's difficult. It is a little bit more difficult. And we're finding the social emotional pieces of our students and our staff are struggling. You know, you have good days and bad days. So just keeping that in the forefront and moving that forward. But they're working very hard to do that. So
I appreciate that you have that as a goal, because I do think these are not the times everyone's used to teaching in, and the students aren't used to going to school in, and the students have really decided that, you know, even though before they always wanted a day off, that now they really want to be in school, and the teachers are doing a lot of juggling, so I appreciate that, and I know it's not an easy task to help all of them and to provide any resources for them, because there's just a lot of limits on what's even available and what can be done. So I appreciate the way you split your goals out. Those are good.
thank you.
Thank you very much, Kathy. The next person, high school, Jason, would you like to speak to your goals?
Sure. I feel like I should start it, because Mike always starts with saying his are so much different than ours. So I feel like I should start it being like, okay, at schools, ours are going to be different from the business service. Because he always seems to preface it that way. So our high school goals, we are sticking with achievement related goals, but the priorities do change a little bit, which kind of goes along in line with what Kathy said. We like to have one that is a goal that can definitely reach everybody. So we usually stick with a composite ACT score at the junior level. And we kind of factor that in growth-wise by looking at previous scores of where those students are at. So we can try to not only estimate, but then push a little bit to get there. This year was more challenging because we didn't have scores from last year. So the scores we're kind of trying to base that growth on actually go back about a year and a half and on the other side of a pandemic. So we'll see how that factors into completion of it. The second one is a writing-based goal. I think we've talked numerous times as a district, and John and I were even talking today. Our writing as a whole, we haven't been thrilled with the scores. And writing, no matter if it's electronic or old school or whatever it is, there's a note being written from one parent to child at this point even. You know, those type of writing type of things are definitely life skills we need to develop throughout time. The priorities, like I said, do change a little bit. We use data. I have, whether it's fortunate or not, 75 or 80% of my staff actually are in observation, are in summer years this year. So classroom observations will be a big deal. But I think also this year, probably more so in the past, we need to focus on relationships. Kathy and I have talked numerous times about how we would do that. And it falls into the social and emotional learning part of it too. It's a unique year. I think that's an understatement. The students can probably attest, even if you wanted to hide in class, you probably can't really hide in class anymore with only 40% of your classmates with you. So there's the ability for relationships to be built between staff, students, and students. And I think we all kind of need that at this point. We're all in our world going through a difficult time. So to not connect the relationship component, that social emotional, I think is a mistake, because that's something we probably have taken for granted up until about the last 6 months of all of our lives.
Any questions for Jason? So Jason, I know I spoke to this last year, and it's probably not going to be any great surprise. But the composite ACT, and I completely understand, you know, why you've set it at 16. But is there a way of increasing that goal, even if it's not achieved?
Oh, you can definitely put a different
like 22,
goal.
perhaps.
A 22 average? You can put that, just don't get mad at me if we don't hit it this year.
28.
No, I mean,
Where's the 36 average?
Yeah, I think 36 is a great score. And the seniors in the room are excited because they're like, it's not us. So however high you want to make it, that's great.
but isn't the state average around 21, 22?
Well, and purposely, I've tried to kind of make our goal based a little bit on the class.
Yep.
The junior class historically has been a little bit lower coming through the system. So partly I've tried to make one that from a growth standpoint is achievable. I mean, obviously I can make it higher.
Sure.
It just obviously decreases the likelihood. It's something good to strive for though.
Well,
I think definitely so.
I guess the way I probably look at it differently, and I apologize for that because it's just how my head works. But if a goal isn't necessarily always something that I meet.
Mhm.
Like I'd like to be perfect and I'm not. Ask anybody. I missed something on our agenda already. But my goal is, to be better. So I just wonder sometimes if, setting a goal at the state standard is, maybe we don't meet it, and particularly this year.
No, that's an average.
Yeah,
He
average.
said it's for the minimum,
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
the
he
minimum
said
would be
70%,
yeah.
70%.
with a minimum of 16.
Right, so the average would be above that.
Yeah, the average score would be above that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that means 30% can be below that.
Correct.
Obviously, that wouldn't be,
Yeah,
we would like that to be a.
If you're
small-
looking at probably raising our average historically a point or two,
Yes.
if you could set a goal of like, I think I had it figured out about 80% getting an 18 or above,
Okay.
would actually probably jump us up a point average as a district. Because then the 20%, I mean, you have a 17, but you could have,
Yep.
you have a little bit of a range there, but then obviously if you go the average score, and it's different because you can shoot for like the average number, or you can shoot for this percent of kids are gonna be above this, because, you do get a 36, it really helps out the average.
Oh,
a
without
great deal.
question. Yeah.
Type of thing, but
Especially if you
Yeah.
have.
but at
20
the same
people.
point, it's just one kid.
Right.
So it kind of depends how we want to look at, are we looking at a percentage of kids that we want to target, or is it
Yeah.
an average overall? So-
Well,
And obviously, we're going to evaluate both,
Yeah,
because I think both tell you different stories that give you a different snapshot of what's going on.
And I also know that the ACT score has next to nothing to do with success of students. Okay, so I also completely appreciate that. So what to do, this is where you're comfortable.
Yeah, and I'm okay either way. I'm okay having the higher one, especially if you're okay with the possibility we may not hit it.
I am
So-
personally okay with that, but I can't speak for the board or the administrative team.
yeah, and so
Or
as
yourself.
we go forward, we're gonna be talking about some different concepts. This year was not, in my opinion, the year to really break down, that process to what I think it can be, as far as, creating goals that not only are universal, right, and affecting everyone, but then it's really, that process is looking at data, but you almost have to avoid looking at that mean, that average data, because sometimes, and our school's probably big enough, to have some of this happen where, we focus so much on the average, we're losing, that individual attention sometimes, that really needs to be paid by our
You can
administrators.
tell slightly two different stories, just
Right,
because of the size.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if you get large enough, it
Yep.
probably doesn't. But
Sure.
So I think that yeah, absolutely is a it's going to be a continued conversation moving forward for all of our administrative staff. Just
Okay.
how does this, but again, this year, it's, this is a fun time. I tell ya.
Well, and ultimately, we want to grow 100% of our kids.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wherever we
Absolutely.
started, and this year, it probably makes sense even more so, because wherever we started at the beginning of this year, no matter what happened last year or is happening in the world, we want to grow. So.
Right.
And we also don't have the data from last year to even analyze growth as we have in the past,
Yep.
which is more problematic.
You're absolutely
So-
correct. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
I know perhaps I'm, expect too much
No,
this
you're
year.
good.
I'm sorry. But thank you for that. The next item is middle school. John, would you like to speak to yours?
Sure. Every few years, we, and some of the board members that have been on the board for a while, we've gone through with curriculum and different building initiatives. Just what Jason said, I'm going to focus on a writing goal this year for many reasons. One of the most important things I want to have as an outcome, though, is kind of an unwritten goal, and that is just to revive the 6th Trade Plus 1 writing knowledge on teachers' behalf. Because I think we all know that when we have a goal or an issue we focus on, we really learn about that this year. And if it doesn't stay on the front burner, you slowly lose it. By year 2 or year 3, you're kind of doing something else. You've moved on to a different initiative, whatever. So this goal, we will have training here. I have 5 or 6 pages of how we're going to implement it attached as well, or part of the goal. But this goal will involve all of the teachers. So our specials teachers, our math teacher, with a writing focus. Our ELA teachers will be the teachers who will do the actual measurement of the writing prompt, the quality of writing 3 times over the course of the year. But I really wanted to have a goal that really spoke to all of the teachers and all of the students in a writing manner. So hopefully the real outcome is to get 6 trait vocabulary alive and well in all the teachers and the students, so they can look at writing and really know how to approach writing. So that's the real goal. The priorities that I speak to, one is communication, just trying to keep the parents and students informed with what we're doing in the middle school, the changes, a lot of different details. There are so many minor details and tasks related to this year that have not been involved in previous years. So just to keep that word out there. And then to keep it on the forefront of our thoughts about this is a unique year. How do we continue to learn and grow and keep that on the forefront of our conversation? What are we doing virtually with instruction? How are we teaching hybrid? How are we connecting the different modalities of instruction and staying organized with that? It sometimes feels very intact, and sometimes it feels like we've got 6 different buildings within one little middle school, so it's interesting. It's really interesting. So all the blended learning and teaching strategies and techniques. So they are a regular conversation. So that is it for middle school.
Any questions for John? So I think I'll just not say anything from this point forward because I'm sorry, Jason.
I am good. I know.
So with that, thank you. And I look forward also to all of next year's goals. So thank you. And then Pat is next. Hi, Pat.
All right. Hello.
Pat, are you missing the Cowboy game right now?
I am.
Oh, boy. It's on the background. I can see it in your glasses.
See the reflection in my glasses. I'm dedicated, but no, I do appreciate. I was able to go to my daughter's cross country meet and not have to drive back, so I could stay in Zoom in. So thank you for that. I looked at some initial goals. Being a new principal to the district, I really want to build a foundation for school improvement. And I think to start that, number one was building relationships and then figuring out the strengths of the school, the strengths and weaknesses and what we need to improve on. And to do that, again, I want to build authentic relationships, perform a needs assessment to see what our strengths and weaknesses are, create a positive culture of teaching and learning, and have high expectations where we can hold each other accountable. And then as far as goals, I had two main goals. Number one, focus on mental health of our students and staff. Again, part of that's building relationships and making sure we can have supports in place that we can provide for students and staff. And then, a big one is just improve student achievement. As we've gotten our test data in over the last few weeks now, Krista and I are going to do a deeper dive and establish some smart goals for the year to improve achievement, utilizing the assessments we've just taken, and then also using our Title I goals, which one of those main goals is focusing on collaborative teams who look at data and assessments and base our learning outcomes and boost achievement that way. So once Chris and I dive into that data a little more, we can have a specific goal probably, at the next board meeting if you'd like.
After what I've said already, I think I will leave that up to you and the administrative team to decide if there's anything else that you would like to add to those goals.
And the main reason is me being new to the assessments, even to EduClimber on how we report the data. It just, in looking at historical data, it was just a lot to start the year of. I don't want to just throw a number out there. I want to set a good bar that's high, but hopefully achievable, and really look at something that we can look at school wide from Montessori through our pre-K through 4 to build on.
Any questions for Pat?
I don't have any questions. I may back you up a little here, Angie. And it's not necessarily that I don't like the goals, because I think, from everyone, I think they're good goals to have. From my perspective, I don't want to use this year as an excuse of why we can't do things well. Mm-hmm. Why we can't motivate the kids, why we can't motivate teachers and ourselves to do better. And we may not hit the goal. This year might be the anomaly that we put the asterisk by, but we have to still expect a certain level and where we're at. So, and I think we're there. I think we have good goals. I guess I want to get away from the verbiage and the language about this year. Because whether you're in a school district or whether you're in insurance or whether you're in a hospital setting or wherever you're at, everybody is impacted by this year. And no one, I think, is expecting this year just to go away and everything's fine, kind of a thing. So that's kind of what I want to see. And so when we look at the goals and we look at where we're at, that we still continue to push ourselves. And that, our graduating class this year doesn't get a pass because it was this year.
Well, I think you make a good point of putting the asterisk at the end and not at the beginning.
Yep.
If we don't reach it at the end, fine. But, well, maybe not fine.
No.
But,
But what did we do wrong? Now we can assess.
Before we get started.
Yeah. Hopefully this is over soon. And we can go back to normal, whatever that is. But maybe it's not. So we'll see.
And I appreciate you speaking. I have said this for many, many reasons. This is a student's last senior year, only senior year. This is a personal.
Yeah, I have English now, so I can take it again next semester.
Well, we do have some students that are here longer than 18, but anyway, it's some of our students only first grade year. And I want it to be the best first grade year ever. And so that's really where I'm coming from, is I just want I know that there are some students behind. I know that spring was really hard. Some students didn't have the growth that we would have hoped, but the goal is still that every student achieves the academics necessary to then thrive as an adult. And that's social and emotional too. I mean, that includes everything because on a personal note, I said to Matt earlier, I'm not going to be with my family for Thanksgiving. I'm not going to see my family for a year. You know, there are emotional, social things going on that very much impact who we are and how we grow. And you all have that included in your goals. But the academic piece, we just have to strive. And I know there's a ton of pressure and stress on our staff and on students. And I don't want to ignore that or lessen that, but the goal just has to be, that academic achievement. And that's my only point. So thank you. And thank you for all the time, energy. I mean, you guys are all working so hard and it is noticed. And I know how much I appreciate it. The rest of the board appreciates it. Our staff, I don't know about our students. Here, let's throw you students in here now.
Yeah.
So do you see your teachers working harder than in the past or no?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's different.
Yeah.
Are they giving you an easy path through?
No.
But it is very difficult for them because they're preparing for multiple groups of people. They're also doing some things virtually and recording things, and we're just well aware of that. So I don't want to lessen that in any way with this. So I appreciate you guys putting the goals together. I know that took enough time all by itself. So thank you for that. We will now go to the district administrator.
All right, well, in the spirit of appreciation, last week was School Board Appreciation Week, and we did a variety of things to kind of show you guys that we appreciate you, but holy smokes, when we have conversations, not only at the admin level, but even with staff, there is a true appreciation for this school board right now. There really is, especially as you look around the state and you see some unrest, you see some boards that aren't on the same page or that aren't, as organized and as well, put together. And I'll be very honest with that. You see that, and I think that just it's evidenced by everything that I've seen to this point. You guys want to be a great board. Collectively, and I think that is true, and that you can see that from afar, and you can see that whenever you're at any of these board meetings. So thank you for everything. This is a big job, and I know that you guys constantly remind us that you are aware that we have big jobs, and the admin team, and thank you. Thank yous come to us often, but for from this side, I hope you guys truly understand how much we appreciate you. And my goodness, to take on what you're taking on right now, to help make the decisions you're helping make, to take that on is just really impressive. So thank you. And I can't wait to continue to work with this board. This is exciting. If we have this kind of a foundation right now, I can't wait to see what the potential is just outstanding. So thank you. Anything else, administrators, for that?
We appreciate you.
It was very nice of you to send out the tweets and on Facebook and all of that. That was very thoughtful. Thank you.
Lots of updates about school. Obviously, we're still here, as we're going forward. We're going to continue through the cohort model at this point in time. We are seeing a slight decline in some of our numbers, and according to the Mike Brendel forecaster, we should be in the orange tomorrow. So he thinks he's cracked the code No, you don't think so?
I'm just
Okay.
double checking some things. There's something's not adding.
Something's not okay. So don't hold me to that. Don't hold me to that. But he's been pretty darn close. You know, as we're moving forward, you know, that the cohort model has its pros and cons, and it's definitely harder for our teaching staff. It's hard on kiddos, but I do feel we found that balance of understanding how important, you know, in-person learning is, and also understanding how we need to keep everybody safe, as safe as possible. And so we're going to continue with that balance at this point, and then continue to rely on our medical advisory team from VMH and also on our county reps. I have never spoken to county representatives as often as I have now, as I have, you know, it's not only standing calls, but, you know, even to have county workers in my cell phone that you know, we have to connect in multiple fronts throughout the week. And it's very interesting, but I do appreciate them. So as an update to transportation, right now we're sitting anywhere from 15 to 20 per route for students on average. You know, there are days when, especially in with the current model, and especially with parents that maybe are hit or miss on whether they're going to work in the office today or if they're going to stay work from home. It's been incredibly hard to gauge how many riders you're going to have on a given day. So we have some buses that come in with 6, and we've got some that come in, you know, packed. And so we're still working on that and trying to really find, you know, you know, that balance. So we have been talking as we continue to talk about in-town routes and how that works. PM is harder than AM, especially because you know, AM push come to shove, if we're trying to keep to that one family per seat, right? We're really trying to stick to that as the recommendations come in, you know, for COVID, and it's hard. And so as we continue to move forward, the afternoon, if you have a bus full of kids, that's where we get a little nervous, where it's like, what are they going to sit here while we drive the hour, you know, to go to some of these rural routes? And where in the morning, you know, if we're close, push come to shove, we could just turn around, you know, and go and grab 1 or 2 more kids, and you know, once we drop off, as long as they were closer. And so we're trying to find that balance, and really maintaining that one family per seat recommendation. And if we look at the differences, and poor Randy down in the bus garage, just the differences between last year and the transportation plan and this year. Monday, Tuesday, we have a different grouping. Thursday, Friday, we have a different grouping. Wednesday, we have a different grouping. On top of a lot more flexibility from the parents saying, yeah, I'm going to drop my kid off today. I'm not going to drop my kid off today. I'm not going to pick up today. It has been interesting, unique, and difficult, you know, difficult to plan, you know, because you have to be prepared for that. You know, it's not worst case, but you have to be prepared for that large number, because the day that you get it, you have to be ready, you know, you have to be ready for that. So Mike, do you have anything to add with that?
Yeah, I mean, and I think for those of you that have had a family member that has driven bus, you probably understand better than like I did when I first started here. Even let's say food service or whatever, you know, yes, something changed, more kids showed up to eat lunch today. Okay, we're gonna scramble, we're gonna do that, you know, a bus driver is out 10, 15 miles away, you know, and he has to make a split decision. Do I bring the kid in or do I not bring the kid in? You know, whatever. And I think the bus drivers have been very appreciative of our, you know, not trying to pack the buses or anything. I mean, I think they feel safe. I think they feel, you know, yes, I mean, they're all common sense people. So they, you know, might feel a little silly driving in with only 6 students on the bus. But as one was explaining to me, they had a family that was quarantined, and for 4 to 5 days. Well, that cut the route down by 4 kids or whatever it was. And so if we Well, that bus could have room for an in-town route until those 4 kids come back on, and then you're debating, and it might be fine on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but not on Thursday, Friday. So could we still do it, and would that confuse the in-town kids, because it's gonna be at a little bit different time, I mean, and we were talking today, even if we did say, oh, we're full, we'll be right back to pick you up. You're talking a kindergartner sitting there watching the bus drive away and not knowing, am I supposed to wait here for, I mean, there's logistical issues with, if it was a matter of let's pack this bus, we have plenty of room. I mean, it's a 72 passenger bus, and we're running with at most 25 people, 25 to 30 people on it. So there's a lot of room. It's just the matter of, can we really make this consistent for families and provide those kids that start to their day that isn't gonna be more stress? I mean, that's for the drivers too. I mean, and that's Randy's. He's definitely open to it. He'd like Tom and I to sit down and actually look route by route where we could get it done. It's just, just like we said on that first day, we'll know a lot more when we do it.
Yeah.
And I think this would be the same way. We'll know a lot more when we do it.
Yeah. And there's also hesitation because in winter you do have more riders as well, so that's also a concern for an increase, for that ridership. So, but we're going to continue to look at it. We're looking at a variety of different things and how do we make this work, including, is there an opportunity to pick up a potential in-town driver, because we do have the buses available for that. So there obviously are a lot of logistics to go through on that as well, but we're absolutely open to anything. If we can make this work, we're going to make it work.
Is that a posted position? An in-town driver? No,
Not right now.
Not now.
I have talked to one person that showed some interest.
There's also weather. I mean, you throw rain in, you can't say I'm gonna come back and get you in 15 minutes, and there's a kindergartner standing out in the
That's the
rain.
problem.
Right.
And now you throw cold weather in there, and
Right.
Or do you say, oh, it's only 2 blocks, we'll just throw you in? Well, then no, that's a terrible position to put a bus driver.
Right.
Right. So, as we can bounce over to enrollment. So our numbers are at 1,096 right now, so just under that 1,100 enrollment. So we are down a little bit, and a lot of that, to account for that, the whole state has dropped 3%. Was the latest reported numbers from DPI. So public schools are down overall 3% right now. The vast majority of those are in 4K and in kindergarten. So I'm not saying that we're happy about that, but you can obviously see that naturally with the COVID concerns, that's the age group that is either staying home or choosing a different route. We did have a slight increase in homeschool requests, so that's definitely. I did talk with 3 families that said we'll be back next year. Right now, here's the route that we're going to choose. So I'm not quite sure how many kiddos that is off the top of my head, but I'm sure that's a very common situation right now. If they can, if the parents can do that, and that's their preference. That's definitely their choice. So. Technology, as we're going forward, we have been able to meet all of the technology needs for both the internet and devices. Some of them are not the quality devices that they necessarily want. I think every kid wants a brand new Chromebook, and that has been a reality that we could meet for some of our students, but some students are getting the older devices. We do have. We're not giving out any end-of-life devices or anything like that. Everything is safe, and they can still do everything they need to. But nice new computers are nice. Are things that that the kids like. So we have been able to meet again all of the internet needs at this point. And there have been some unique situations. We won't get into any specifics, but the tech team has been doing just a phenomenal job And when we look at how creative Pat has had to become, be in some of these situations, I'm very appreciative for that team as we move forward. So we still are waiting on the very large number that is going to be coming in of the Chromebooks that will essentially make us a 1-to-1 district. That does open up plenty of doors for us as well in that situation. We're excited for that opportunity, but it also causes some logistical, especially for our tech team, some nervousness, right? Of saying we're gonna more than double our devices right now. How are we gonna make sure that we stay organized and distribute the appropriate way and keep track of that many more devices? So we're excited for that, and we're prepping and ready for whenever that shipment comes in. And right now, Mike, I think it was December or January is where they're kind of sitting at right now for that big shipment. Yeah, anything else, admin, to add on technology? All right. Bouncing to social. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, your thumbs up. Okay.
Oh.
I thought you raised your finger.
No, I don't think so. John, you don't have any. You can add something. You can.
So a question, so I
Sure.
know we have older Chromebooks here. Do you guys want them? Do you need them?
Not at this time. They do have, I don't know how many they've got. They still have a few devices that we haven't given out yet.
Okay.
So we're still good at this point in time. If we get really desperate, we'll give you a call.
I could use my other computer,
Yep.
So just let me
Yep.
know.
We'll
or
give
let
you a
us
call
know.
if we need to. Yep, for sure. Social emotional learning, as you could tell through all the goals that were thrown out there, this is obviously one of our keys this year. As we're going through this process right now, we're noticing quite a few different trends, and this ties right into teachers and their mental health as well. Teachers are taxed, teachers are tired. Students are taxed, students are tired, and so we're trying to find that balance. But what we're finding a little bit unique is one size doesn't fit all with all of the these solutions or programming or anything along those lines. So when we break this down, and I think it's not. It sounds simple, but it's not, right? Is that we need to treat people in a human way, and we need to form those relationships, and we need to become experts at that pretty quickly. It is difficult, and I think if I had any teacher up here that is living even a little bit in the virtual world, it is difficult for that. What I would say is that I think there is an opportunity with the cohort model for 7 through 12. Well, while you're not seeing students for 3 days a week, you are seeing half of your students the other time, the other 2 days. And so when we're looking at this in class sizes of 7, 8, 9, 10, I think it does allow for those relationships to form in a much more meaningful way, because you can't hide, as Jason alluded to. You can't hide as a kiddo, and that's obviously causes a little anxiety for our introverts. But it's also it's really good for that relationship building piece with the teachers, and so we have had multiple teachers express that. As we move forward, we're going to continue with that being a priority and really talking about ways to connect. As far as teachers, we have heard loud and clear on where they're at. And DLT, that was a common conversation, which was okay. We need more, and time was the common theme. But again, as we've gone through the last week, time for one person means time to prep in case we would have to transition, right? There's an anxiety of that to a virtual learning environment. Time for another person is time to prep for what I'm living through right now, all right? I need more time to be ready. And time for yet another group is I need time for me and to take care of myself, my self-care and my mental health. And so we're almost finding it's a very similar pattern that what we see with students is everybody needs something a little bit different. And the only way we find out what our teachers need is by those forming those really solid relationships and consistently checking in with each staff member and saying, okay, where are you at right now? What, how's everything going? What can I do to help? And so we're going to be extremely intentional on going through and checking in on a regular basis and really checking in, not necessarily all right, hi, bye, how is your, that's the small talk. Oh, the weather, right? Some of that is good. The pleasantries are nice to get started, but we really do need to get into those conversations of, okay, how are you doing right now? And what can we do to help? For students, there's also counseling services that we've been able to partner with some local providers, service providers for therapy, and we are in the middle of a process to get funding through a third-party source for some telehealth services that we're also extremely excited to be able to provide for our students. And it's going to be great for not only Viroqua, but all rural schools to be able to have high-quality mental health experts available to students all the time. And again, I think that that's going to be a great partnership and multiple partnerships as we move forward. So we're excited about that. And then the last thing I want to talk about with our employees is, and we've had to, kind of remind our employees about our employee assistance program. I think that in most districts, and most districts offer one, it is underutilized. And I would say probably most employers, it is underutilized. We do partner with Gunderson for our EAP, and it is, it's a great resource. It's a great resource for a variety of reasons, but anything from, helping with those mental health concerns, financial concerns, work-related issues, marriage, family, kids. I mean, it's literally an all hands on deck kind of approach, which we do offer. We've offered it. I'm not sure how long have we been offering that, Mike?
We've always offered an EAP
Yep.
program. The Gunderson, Beth, that's her.
Just last year.
Okay.
It was right before COVID.
Yeah.
Well, that was good timing.
Yeah, I mean, and so we rolled it out at sometime during probably winterish, and staff, I mean, it's a pretty robust EAP program, I would say. There's calling in, and you can actually schedule, sessions with an EAP. It's gotten a little more difficult during COVID, but some people would say might have gotten a little easier because I think they're using more of the telehealth. So.
And it's a 24/7 program, so 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you can call. And once there is a certain number depending on the type of requests that you have and everything like that. But then they really do work on how do we help families, and get them in touch with resources that will lead to sustained, help whenever they need it. And so again, we're going to continue with that and make that continue to make that a priority. We do have a wellness team that has met, and self-care is a priority, and will continue to be a priority. Teachers have been loud and clear. What they don't want is for us to bring in a self-care speaker and then for them to go I think the nice way to put it was, to sit in front of them and tell them how to take care of themselves. I think that right now everybody understands that it's a concern, and we need to make it a priority. To take care. We can't give what we don't have, and we're going to continue to remind, especially our teaching staff that always goes above and beyond, but we need to make sure that we're kind of constantly reminding them, hey, you've got other things as well to worry about. And we have plenty of other things to worry about within our families. So, any questions on that? Sorry, that was a lot.
The only other thing I can say to that is with the weather changing, that and days shortening, it's darker longer. Those factors are all going to affect people, possibly not in the most positive way. So. And I don't know how to give that information out to staff and students that those resources are very available, but I'm sure you're doing that.
In talking to some staff, I think it's important, they recognize they are not alone in I mean, they know that this is across all industries and everything. And I told that person, I said, that's true, but yet we are in a very good position of impacting a lot of those families too. Whether we're leaders or we're, whatever, their lives aren't gonna get better with our teaching staff, not, just saying, we're all in this together, all, across the board. It's not, I don't think any of the teachers, have straight out said, this is so much worse than what the EMTs are going through or the hospital, floor workers are going through. But we are in a position where, we get to see kids every day. It's great. It's a good job. We know that, but we do need to take care of ourselves too.
Yep.
When will you find out about the grant?
Which grant?
You said there's a grant for students that you're
The
applying
telehealth.
for?
That's what we're talking about. They're still working with Walmart to,
Okay.
there weren't any hiccups
Deadlines.
that they were projecting. It was just, they didn't have a clear timeline on when that would happen.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think there's any hurdles that they're gonna have to go over. It's just, timeline was not clear at that time.
Okay.
Yep. Again, and as far as with the teaching staff, the admin team absolutely has been working to try to, to meet the needs of all of our staff. We understand that the needs are great right now. And so we've really kind of talked about, okay, what can we do as an admin team to not necessarily, take off, things from their plate, but how do we make them easier, so that they don't have to jump through all these hurdles or jump over all these hurdles or jump through these hoops to do their jobs. And so that's really where our conversation has gone. And we're going to continue to have those conversations. Anything that we can do to help, we're going to.
Do you have any idea if there's been an increase in students' access to our counselors or our school psychologists?
I don't have those numbers, but I can ask for that information.
Okay. Maybe at our next board meeting, we could see if there's something else financially we need to do, perhaps as a district, to try to meet needs if those numbers are increasing.
I will just say, from a student standpoint, I didn't know that we had those tools available. I guess that would have been a nice thing to know.
Sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So maybe a way that we as a district could get that information to our students so that students are more aware of it.
If there's something put up on the page or put in the announcements, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just to make sure everyone can hear it.
Sure. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And maybe as student council members that, meeting with Mr. Kress to have a conversation about that there could be you could present that information also to students so that they become a little more, however you're meeting. I don't even know how you're meeting today with that. Pardon me? Oh, on Wednesday? Via Zoom, I'm guessing, something like that?
When we usually will, if we're just in our committees, we'll just do Zoom. We have had a couple where we go out under the big tree out front where we're all social distance and bring chairs and blankets so we can all be together, but.
Yeah, so that might be something that student council could actually take on to inform students of some services that are available.
Awesome.
Maybe. All right, thank you. That's a lot. There's a lot going on.
All right.
The next item, administrators reports, parent-teacher conferences. Pat, I'm going to start with you this time.
Okay.
Turn off
So for elementary and Montessori, we're going to do parent-teacher conferences virtually, either through Zoom or phone. And we're just going to have a window of time to get those done between November 11th and November 24th. That's when report cards will be out and that'll be part of the discussion. So that seems to be the the most convenient and safest way to do that. So we'll be getting those scheduled in the next few weeks. Did you also want a virtual learning update?
We can do it that way, absolutely. You can just hit all of the topics you're going to speak to as we go through the reports. That'd be great.
Okay. So our current numbers for in-person and virtual, for the elementary school, in person, we have 260 students, in virtual 50. And for Montessori, we have 51 in person and 62 virtual, which includes our E2 students, our 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. You know, and just a little recap of how that's going. You know, I think we're fortunate that we've got both. We've got options for families. You know, there's a group of staff and a group of families that really wanted to have a virtual option, and that's become a reality. With that, there's challenges for both in person and virtual, obviously, this year. You know, especially I look at elementary age students learning virtually is a little bit different than middle and high school. And some of the things I listed for you were motivation, accountability when nobody's looking over their shoulder. So this puts a lot more, I think, on families than maybe it does for older students. Confidence, sometimes lacking technical skills or login ability. Some that loneliness piece of you know, they're not with their friends learning, and persistence to make it through. So those are some of the challenges, but you know, to be honest, our students are doing a great job figuring this out, even our youngest students. Our teachers have done an amazing job of making this successful. And the families, you have to give a shout out to the families too, because they're really supporting their kids at home and making this work. Even with those challenges, you know, there's expectations, there's accountability. It's not easy by any means. I don't want anybody to ever think, well, it's not easy on the kids, it's not easy on the families, it's not easy on the teaching staff. But they're all working just incredibly hard to make it successful and to make it a viable option for our students. You know, as a different way of learning, and it's not the same, but even in person is not the same this year either. So again, we want to hold our expectations high for academic learning while also taking care of our students' needs, that social and emotional needs. So I've sat in on some of their morning meetings, and you know, it's just different to see, you know, a morning meeting at school. There's a lot more interaction. There's interaction again, but it's just different. So again, I want to just give a hats off to everyone for making it a successful option. You know, the good part is most of our teachers are just focusing on one or the other, either virtual learning or in person. Our children's house teachers juggling both, and our specials provide both at the elementary level, but so that's a lot on them as well. But you know, again, hats off to everyone in person and virtual. Everyone, kids, families, staff are all working extremely hard to make this a successful year.
Thank you. It has to be even more of a challenge as a new administrator to our district to try to have students get to know you, and have staff get to know you, and have parents get to know you, socially distancing and via Zoom. So I am just recognizing that has to be even a little bit more complicated this year.
It is, you're right. You know, we can't have family nights or, you know, any nights at school to get to know each other, but you know, we're all doing our best.
Thank you. We'll have John go next. Do you want to speak to all three of the items? There's parent-teacher conferences, virtual learning, and fall co-curriculars.
Yes, you bet. So our parent-teacher conference is, the way the middle school is, we will do a similar program as Pat is supposed to with 5th and 6th grade, where we'll schedule all of our parent-teacher conferences. over the course of this Thursday and next Tuesday night. And we'll set those up through Zoom or phone calls. So and it'll work essentially the same, it's just virtually. 7th and 8th grade will be, we'll do an open house, just like we always do. And teachers will set up their Zooms with waiting rooms. So our hope is that it really works out the way it does when we're, pre-COVID, where there will be 2 or 3 parents waiting in the hall for 15, 20 minutes, half hour. I look around the room and a lot of you have waited. So it'll be the same, except you'll be in a waiting room versus sitting in the hallway, having small talk to a lot of different people. So parents visiting with parents, and that will be this. And I think that's kind of neat, but that won't happen. We're going to try to do cohort A on this Thursday and then cohort B next Tuesday to try to separate it out a little bit and balance it so that not everyone's coming in at once. So hopefully that works out, and we'll see. Virtual learning, I included a little statement and then a whole bunch of numbers. But just instead of going through the numbers, I think we went through some of the numbers last month's meeting. And I know Angie, you, but in the past, you said, are you really thinking about each student and meeting each student's needs? And you can see by the way this is broken up that, partnership working with Kathy and the special ed teachers, I feel really fortunate about the middle school's special ed team. We have just awesome teachers and awesome paras where we recognize that Edmentum was not the answer. In person wasn't really going to work because of parent wishes or whatever. So we really have kind of created some different niches that are really working well for students and teachers. So it's difficult. It has its elements of difficulty, but that's what we need to do. So we're doing it. So that's interesting to look at when it's all spelled out. The other thing, and this really is not a COVID conversation or this year conversation. We're in the time of the year right now where students developmentally through middle school, 5th grade, a lot of us have had, you guys not too long ago, you have moments of you're really motivated and other times the commitment and the dedication.
I'm glad you guys are beyond that now.
I never procrastinate any of my online.
If you were in 7th grade, would you? No response. So that's what we deal with. And they're, developmentally, it's not an issue. It's just developmentally keeping up with the students, making sure they're staying engaged, because 3 days to a 12-year-old is very different than 3 days to a 17 or 18-year-old. And to manage that and to keep the students engaged, keep that vibrancy of education and connection and relationship and going strong, it's tricky at our age in the middle school. So we talk about these things and we try to keep doing different things to keep students engaged. So it's not that they're bailing out on us, but it's just sometimes it's hard to keep students engaged when we can see them in person 5 days a week. It's just an interesting time period of a person's life, and it's a challenge. So, but it's good. I am down for fall athletics too, or wrapping up. So we had, I just can't say enough about the beginning of this year, as I said last year, and then if anyone else is tuned in from the community. A school year without arts and athletics, it would just be interesting. And as we were approaching all of this, I had several conversations with the music directors, and then Eric as well with all athletics. And is it going to happen? How's it going to happen? And he was kind of unsure until it actually happened. Is this really we're going to stay calm enough to make all of this go? And it has. Some of our seasons haven't been as full and as good as previous years, but we did have a volleyball season and we did have a cross-country season. We have sign up for basketball going on right now, and wrestling is around the corner. How middle school works, for everyone's information, is we have a 4 or 5 week boys basketball season and a 4 or 5 week girls basketball season over the course of the 10 weeks here. And then club ball is opposite. And then wrestling, of course, we have school wrestling, which is a shorter season, but then we have club wrestling that takes the full winter and beyond. So hopefully we can stay calm and all of this can happen too. So, and that's it.
So I'm going to share with all the administrators, reading your reports and how you're going to do your conferencing. It sounds fantastic. On the telemedicine piece, I will tell you that not everyone knows how to do it and how to get on and participate. 45 minutes trying to figure it out. And then if no one is there, they don't think that they're on. They don't perhaps understand the waiting place. And if it's to be at a certain time and it doesn't happen at that time, we sometimes assume that many people know how to do something and they really just don't. I hope that you have greater success than what we've experienced in the healthcare industry with that. Don't be surprised, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It's technology that just a lot of people have no idea. It seems perhaps that it might not be complex, but it is.
One thing we've got going for us as parents, we call our kids into the room. Honestly, that's
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Hopefully
And
they've
that
been
first
on
grader
something.
probably knows how to do it in a second. But we have just found it to be very complicated. We need those first graders in healthcare.
So one other thing, and that is an interesting point or perspective.
Yeah.
The one thing I can look back at in time and say, I have a level of confidence that this will be okay. We will always have a few parents that even if they know how their computer's not working, so they can't log in that night, or their connection freezes up or whatever.
Right.
We have those glitches. But if you reflect back right before last week in August, our town hall meetings, we had an incredible turnout. I mean, Tom held 2 of them, and we each held 1.
Yep.
And we had some very good numbers.
You did.
Sign in to those. So my hope is that, and Mike is right too, if a parent is not kind of feeling it or know how exactly, and you're right, I would guess there's a fair number of parents who don't know how to log in or sign in. Join from the invite, and but their kids do. So.
And we have parents who don't utilize Skyward, same kind of a thing. It's very accessible and all the information is there. So, and I see you also have the ability phone calls also.
Yes.
You have that as an option. So. We need first graders in healthcare now. You should tell them they have jobs. All right. And then Jason, you want to do those same 3 topics, please?
So parent-teacher conference night, we do 1 a quarter. So ours is next Tuesday. And we're going to go the Zoom or phone call route. We actually put together a little tutorial for our staff members to go on Sign Up Genius to create a schedule with that. It's pretty easy to do, but we went through the tutorial anyway. And so we have some of our staff who are already kicking those schedules out. And then we are also gathering all of the URLs for those, and we're going to kick them out later in the week in a whole document for parents, so a parent can click on all of their classes. Probably the first time in my history as a high school principal that I'm concerned that we're going to overfill high school parent-teacher conference. That's usually not an over concern, but when you start figuring out 10 or 15-minute time slots in 4 hours, yeah, if you want to come in, sign up fast. I mean, if it's overflow, we'll get to you, but we are going to do time slots just because I think from a Zoom perspective, number one, you don't know who's sitting in a waiting room. You don't know how many people are sitting there. And we'll try to stick to the time frames, and it's not like it's the only day that we can communicate out. We have via technology and different things we're communicating all the time, but we want to be able to get a bunch out because the end of the quarter is literally only 2 weeks away. So
What is your participation at the high school level?
For parent-teacher conference, John? It really varies a lot on the teacher. Core subjects tend to be higher. Depends on the time of year. If this was April, I'd be less concerned about filling up the slots. And just with it being the absolute different format, it's hard to tell. I mean, so yeah, it really depends. So and I think there's some parents that will communicate all along with staff or administration. There's others that are like, that's my night. I gotta stick to that night type of thing. This year, who knows, there might be a third category this year because I've gotten a lot of emails throughout the year that's like, I know you're really busy is the start of the email. So I think, but hopefully it gives the opportunity for the parents that they need to reach out and they can pick and choose which teachers. Nobody's saying you gotta sign up for all of them. And but yeah, definitely, it's not like it's the only time we can have them, but obviously we want them to be very beneficial too. So. Fall co-curriculars, 2 sports are done. Girls golf is done. Girls tennis is done. We almost had a state qualifier in girls tennis. We were one slot away from that. Tomorrow night is volleyball playoffs, first round of that. It's also cross country subsectionals tomorrow night. We had conference cross country. Katrina, Vicky's daughter. If they were giving out all conference this year, she would have gotten all conference.
Why are they not?
They chose not to.
Vicky, she should be able to put that on her applications.
Yeah, we would not try that on our end. You met the previous criteria, so.
We'll make a certificate.
Exactly.
This Friday, we host Altoona for football. Next Friday, we host Richmond Center for football here. So we have a number of events still going, and then we will get to the process of planning winter sports once we get the fall sports. Virtual learning update. I think like a lot of the different groups talked about, there's a bunch of different options. Kathy and I don't know, it was last week, we had a special education meeting. It might have been my favorite special education team meeting I've ever gone to at the high school level, because of just how they're working as a team and working to improve student learning. And we have, compared to last month, we have about the same amount of students that are still in the program. We've had some come in, some come out. We're in the low 50s as far as the ones using it, Mentum. The vast majority are upperclassmen. About 70% of them are juniors and seniors. The juniors are the highest group. I think we have 21 juniors. On the flip side, I think if there's only 6 freshmen, I think, that are doing the virtual 5-day learning option. So, just like, was it Nick? Was that his name earlier?
Yep.
We've always had a lot of options here. And I think throughout this, we've even had more so. And similarly, like we talked last month, all of our kids are virtual learners right now. These guys, they were virtual learning today because they're both B cohort. And I think partly, and this I feel somewhat is almost sticking up for the students a little bit. Worldwide, there's this perception that virtual learning is not hard for high schoolers. I would disagree. I think you take the social part of it out. You stare at a computer screen for 3 to 4 hours a day because the expectations at an upper level are going to be more rigorous than lower levels, rightfully so. I give the students a lot of credit for how they're learning this year. So it's a lot of hard work. I think, and the kids will probably say it too, teachers are tired, students are tired. I somewhat joked earlier that they're not getting a free pass on anything, type of thing. It's a lot of hard work during the middle of a pandemic. And so I think everybody's doing the best they can. And so I compliment the students a lot because whether they're doing the cohort option or they're doing the 5-day online option, we're not really giving them any easy option. So they're putting in the work and earning their education and doing a great job at it.
Thank you. Kathy, you want to speak to the first two items?
Sure. Parent-teacher conferences, every day is parent-teacher conference in the special ed world. You know, my teachers are connecting with their parents almost daily. Some of them have daily logs that they put out to all of their kids. So they're also within, my virtual numbers are within the regular ed numbers. They counted them within those numbers that they gave you. 70% of our students of the special ed students are probably are face-to-face. So we have a smaller number that's virtual, but we still have a fair amount. And some of them started with Edmentum. Many of them have come off and gone, actually still with Edmentum, but on their other side, on their Plato side, and doing individual classes where my teachers are the directors. And some of them are using the, you know, specific the virtual that's kind of collaborating with the 5th grade or the 6th grade. So they're working in a lot of different areas and working as much as they can, but they're communicating with their families and their kids daily. So again, working really hard, and we're having a lot of positives. So one of the most interesting virtual is my speech therapists find that that the Zoom platform or the virtual platform in this COVID, because you need to see your face and you can't wear the masks, and is better. So my little speech therapist Zooms into the pre-K class, and she does a half-an-hour session with the whole pre-K class, which is an inclusive with the special ed needs students that are in there. And it's really, really fun to watch some of her things. She'll do her speech on an iPad, and if the kid is on the floor, then they've got their iPad, they're on the floor, and she's just really, really engaging them. That's a real positive thing. So I mean, one of the silver linings is some of my special ed staff is really thinking out of the box and using these new technologies that they're forced upon them to realize that, you know, we can do this too, and it actually makes some positive things. So the technology that we're being forced, I believe, will carry on into our back to normal kind of learning, and so that's kind of a silver lining. But those are my 2 things.
Wonderful. It's nice to see the positives.
Mm-hmm.
And there are actually quite a few. I mean, there's quite a few negatives as well, but there's quite a few positives too. So,
but they are working hard, and again, I think the common theme among all of them is they sleep well at night because they're tired.
Good, thank you. Mike, you want to speak to the meal program and maintenance update?
Sure. The meal program, and it's loosely the meal program. Happy to announce that Christy's become a grandmother again this evening or this afternoon.
Who had a baby?
Her son, Cody.
Cody? I didn't
So
know they were
our employee,
pregnant.
Cody.
I didn't know they were.
Yeah,
expecting.
they 7 pounds, 7 ounce, 20 3/4 inches long. All doing well. Alexandria Rose. So Christy's we're all very excited for Cody and Allie for that. And Christy obviously is also. As far as the actual food program update, we were given notice that the summer food program, which we are operating under right now, which provides free meals to all students regardless of income, we knew it was continuing through December 31st. We've been given notice that it will continue through June 30th,
Oh, great.
which is great.
Wonderful.
And that includes both meals served at school for the kids that receive the meals virtually, that are attending virtually, and have them delivered or picked up, I guess, once a week, both for those that are here in the hybrid system or those that are attending virtually. The home meals have been going, staying steady. There has been a few where families have dropped off for various reasons. As I think we all learn as we're going through this, some things work really well and some things not so much. I think Christy would say that her hot lunch, or whatever you want to call, the students eating here, has steadily increased. But that's its own challenge too. Having kids here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, not Wednesday. The meal planning, that type of thing. Where at the elementary school, it's a lot more consistent. You've got the same kids 5 days a week. But even at that, as we said before, we have had some students that have had to be out for a little bit of time, and they've adjusted so well, and the staff, food service and teaching staff and support staff have all assumed different roles in this, and it might be taking their classroom outside to eat on the picnic tables on a beautiful Friday afternoon or something. I mean, it's been really, really good to see and appreciated on that. With not charging meals, we still do have, as we always have had, families that had gotten behind in their amount that they owed to the district. We have board policy that we try to enforce as far as, not allowing that balance to build up. There is some that have balances, and as other school districts have looked at ways of taking care of that, the food service department is also looking at maybe starting a fundraiser of some sort to through the next few months knock down some of those. Now, a lot of those accounts were accumulated up before the families qualified for free and reduced. And, the food service National School Lunch Program does not allow us to then write those off retroactively. And realistically, we're not gonna probably collect those. But, we can't also just absorb them within our food service program, because that would be, again, it's not an allowable cost to do so. So we're looking, and I think as our community has been in the past, I think that's something people, have actually reached out to us in the past and said, I'd like to pay off some lunch accounts. And so I think it'll go very well, and it'd be really nice to be able to start off next year with everybody, basically at a clean slate and able to move forward, because we do a really good job of staying on top of them as they go, and so it's one thing that I'm hoping through the winter and spring we can move on. Maintenance update, again, a lot of our stuff that was back ordered has come in. Staff has been super adaptable. They are the ones bringing the solution, whether it be the science department or the kindergarten, saying, you know what, I'm having trouble keeping this section clean because of the nature of the materials that we're talking about. I'm working with Terry and Cody and myself, trying to develop protocols and everything to keep, everybody is safe. And I'll be honest with you, when we started this, one of my concerns was, you'll see these buckets out there, and there's a bucket of clean rags and a bucket for the dirty rags. And we are literally asking the teaching staff, the support staff, the paraprofessionals throughout the day to be cleaning their area, where their kids have been sitting and whatever. And in the back of my mind, I thought, first week it's gonna be great, second week it's gonna, I mean, what's it gonna look like? Is this sustainable? Is it going to continue to work? And I will tell you, I really think, I mean, I was walking down the elementary school hallways today and I looked in and the teachers rubbing off every single one of the desks and the back of the chairs, it's mid-morning. And I think they've taken it very seriously because they understand. We're talking, it's pretty serious. And they've really, likewise, we approved Pat McGuire today. Pat's a retired police officer with Brookville Police Department. And he's been helping us out in the maintenance area. And so we needed someone on site at the elementary school. And, and I've had people specifically point out and say, Pat does such a nice job. He's getting all the door handles, the bathroom, the common touch areas, just like we set up to do. And I've heard the same thing about the way we're doing it over here and the food service staff, keeping those tables clean. And the best thing I heard during the DLT meeting that I had not heard yet was some substitute teachers that are substitute teaching in other districts have said our cleaning protocols are very, very good and they feel very, very safe being here. And you know what? I don't know who that sub was. I don't know if what they're comparing us to, but it did make me feel good that holy cow, we're doing what we should be doing. And I was giving Mr. Shipper a hard time tonight about that, but he takes it very seriously as far as the hand sanitizer and the disinfecting at night and making sure that if they have a question, they're reaching out to the proper people and say, I'm not exactly sure about this, but I think if we do this, it'll work. So the back orders, gloves are still a problem. Like I said, most of the equipment, I believe, has come in. We're able to get our cleaner. We're able to get the disinfectant. We got a little creative with some of the spray pumps and stuff, but I think those have now all rolled in. Getting some floor mats for below the sinks in the elementary school. Again, it's just the staff points these things out and says, the kids are washing their hands in the classroom now, and the floor is getting very slippery. Okay, and we didn't think about that. Let's get a solution to it. So it's been good. It's been good.
How about the ionization system?
Yeah.
That's up and running and all.
Yep, it's up and running, and last week they came around and did their tests and they could see that it was working.
And I'm giggling because the man was going around the administrative office and he stood in my doorway and he had his box and he was holding it in my door and I kind of looked at him like, what are you doing? He goes, I'm checking your life force. I'm like, okay, I'm alive.
He said everything was running as intended. So we haven't heard of any adverse effects, which makes me feel very good.
So was there a before and after test? Is there anything we have to compare it to?
I think no, as far as like a mold spore count. I mean, we did the one earlier this summer. We could definitely do another one, but I think just general conditions would change that. So I don't know if that would be scientific enough. They can detect ions, I guess. And so that's what they felt it was working as designed.
Awesome.
Do we have any teachers that thought they were having problems before that aren't, or not necessarily?
I don't think it's been running long enough and everything to put them on that spot. I have asked, do you notice odors being better? Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
You don't notice when orders are gone.
Just in conjunction with the window replacement.
Yes.
Stopping the moisture, getting the iron going.
Yep.
Hopefully, at least at the elementary school, we should.
In winter, we'll be coming with
With
that's when the snow pants, snow boots.
The fourth grade walk in the hallway.
And we also have fewer students here too, so there's another piece.
Yep.
And Ethan and Henry, what Mr. Brennan was talking about, you guys were trying to get the B group some tacos occasionally.
You guys never get tacos?
And similar, the A group is looking for pizza because they didn't get double pizza day last week.
B group doesn't get Uncrustables.
That was a popular breakfast. We are working on getting a better rotation.
The Thursday, Friday, and the Friday pizza never goes.
How do you change Tuesday taco? It's Tuesday.
Well, and
Just
then
have Taco Tuesday at another day.
Taco Tuesday.
And then the challenge is you can do tacos Tuesdays and Thursdays, but then you get your 5th and 6th graders that are gonna have tacos on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can't do that.
You cannot have too many tacos.
Yeah, would that be a negative? Or
I know, I think that's a net gain, I think.
Right. Absolutely. All right.
Okay. Anything else? I will say, walking in this building today, oh my gosh, the floors, not that it hasn't been like this in the past, but the floors look like they did in August. They're so shiny and everything looks so clean.
And they're tired.
Job
too.
well done.
And they're tired too. I mean, they go pretty hard for their 8 hours.
Oh, of course. And there's a lot of additional tasks. All right, thank you. Okay, so now Ethan and Henry, we have homecoming activities.
Okay, so started today because we're doing 2 weeks, so that way we can spread out. Mostly it was for dress up days, so that's a big thing. Apparently, I asked Mrs. Holverson today, not as many people dressed up as she was expecting, which kind of makes sense, but that's usually a big thing. So we decided to spread out over 2 weeks so we could have 4 days, at least, of dress up days. So today for A group was pajama day. And then for B group for us, we'll have it on Thursday. Then it'll be the same tomorrow and Friday for us. It's going to be our color day. Then this Wednesday is kind of like a big day. We're doing the window painting. Like each grade will paint windows. On voting for homecoming court. And then we're doing our.
You guys know anybody on homecoming court?
I couldn't tell. Yeah, I don't know.
I saw the picture. Paper.
Pictures, we have to take 2.
I know, I was like, nicely done.
And they were socially distanced.
I was very happy about that, I won't lie.
Then this Wednesday, one of our big things is, so we could try to do some activities since we can't do anything else, is we're doing like the Europa Rocks thing, but we're making special like Europa High School rocks. So on Wednesday, students will be able to go out and I think some teachers, I think Mrs. H was going to ask teachers to go hide rocks at some point, and
I can make the correction now that tomorrow I will be hiding rocks.
oh, you're hiding.
This is why we bring 2 of you.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it turned out looking better than what I thought we could have done in the allotted time we had. And we were spray painting rocks yay big around the pool. Mr. Schneider can attest.
They were doing a wonderful job.
So yeah, we're gonna go hide those around Viroqua, around public property, along Main Street. Different rocks have different values. There's black rocks, orange rocks, and silver rocks, because we don't have gold. We don't have gold spray paint. So silver is the big thing here. And those are the big ticket ones. There's only 3. We're gonna hide them hard, and I believe they're $20 gift cards.
Yeah, we have a Culver's, a Quick Trip, and an Amazon gift card that students will be able to choose. Whoever gets there first gets to choose.
And then I did talk to Ms. Halverson today about the window painting. That usually when we do homecoming, we have window painting, and that doesn't drum up a whole lot of activity since it's usually left to the more artistically creative kids, which I am not. So I think she was telling me that the numbers were kind of low on that. So maybe, I don't know, know if we have the time or the brain power to think of something for next Wednesday.
It's tough though, we're in school next Wednesday because of Friday's the teacher in service. So main group is Wednesday.
Good job reminding people.
Wow, wow.
So a negative of the painting of the windows is the removal of
Yeah.
the painting of the windows.
Mhm.
That's the one negative.
It's not fun. Did it freshman year. And
Yeah.
everyone else got to decorate the cafeteria.
It was traumatic for you.
Yeah.
How about sidewalk chalk? That just goes away.
Could do that.
Sidewalk chalk works. Could be all over the school. You could have you could have elementary participate.
And then that's mostly it for activities. We couldn't think of a time, because we can't do our usuals, just because of.
Crowning of king and queen.
That's Friday.
Is that next Friday, or is that this Friday?
Next Friday.
Next Friday? Okay. At the game, pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah. That time, go on the field.
So typically there's a parade. So what is that?
Or not, yeah. We
Nothing
tried,
like
we
that?
asked.
Hey, don't remind them of all the things
Yeah.
they're not.
Yeah.
Well, what I was gonna say is you could still outside socially distancing, like the elementary kids love seeing the high school kids.
They couldn't do float building.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of the main attraction of the parade,
Yeah.
other than, I guess, seniors riding the fire truck and court having the.
We could definitely work with Mr. Albert though, maybe
Mhm.
get some of you guys over to.
It could be black and gold,
Elementary
it could be orange and black, you could dress up orange and black. Are you kidding, the elementary school kids,
That's our dress up day for next Tuesday, Thursday.
yeah, they could go around to elementary, it's like that.
Yeah.
And that'd be your own parade, and maybe it would incentivize more people to dress up.
Good.
You could just do it around the outside, around the.
Yeah.
Exactly,
There you go.
exactly.
Around the
It'd be
outside of
exciting to
that.
go bang on the window.
Yeah.
When those kindergartners have their nap time is when we should. Oh, sorry, did I wake you up?
Sorry, Pat.
He's not here to defend himself.
Yeah, Dennis just sleeping right.
See you watching the game.
Cowboys are on.
So here was my idea for floats. So you can do small stuff. It doesn't have to be ginormous where it's an individual working on something. And, you have some, maybe you guys don't want to do it, but maybe somebody does. And I mean, throw it out there if somebody wanted to do it.
That had been our problem. We were thinking of building, like still big floats, but we need people, and then it was just, we couldn't find a way to do it.
Mhm.
Because you obviously can't do it, everyone that close to the garage.
Right.
We tried to like spread it out, but that also didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that point, with
Shoebox
transportation.
Shoebox floats. There you go.
Take a picture and send it in, and you can have your parade virtually.
Exactly.
Should have had this meeting a month ago.
On a Wednesday.
That would've really
Nobody asked me.
I know. Are you kidding? That would be really fun.
Fortunately, they did ask me.
Oh,
You could do Amazon boxes. Everybody has a million of them
everyone
these
has it,
days.
even with a smiley on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's-
prom.
Yeah, or it could be our January prom. It could be
Yeah, it could be
our
January
formal
prom.
prom. It could be-
Pick a prom.
It could be deck the halls instead of deck the halls, deck the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Or instead of Halloween, you could have a Halloween parade and do something like that. See, we
There
just
you
could
go.
give you guys so much work to do.
So since that's Halloween on a Saturday, so it'll be.
You could have
And there's no
decorate
school
your
Friday.
mount. Oh, that's right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that
Those
was,
are details though.
you could decorate your mount.
Right, Thursday.
All right.
But the kids have been very creative, like with the rocks and that, to do something.
That's a good idea.
You know, so that we have
Great
something going on, and,
That is a good idea.
to still have a court, because the class still deserves to have a court.
Absolutely.
Try to find a way to honor them
Mhm.
out on the football field. And we had talked about, we'll let similar to the athletes, our home athletes will have the home parents, can come to we'll give them a couple of tickets too, so that they can come
Very nice.
enjoy the moment too. So
Awesome.
it'll probably be 25 degrees or so.
When you guys are in your chat groups, is there anything that people?
Snapchat, is that what you're talking?
Wherever, sure. You trying to test me?
I am.
Is there anything that people are like, I wish I could, I wish we could do this within the parameters that?
Not within one question that a lot of people have been asking is, what's gonna happen for snow days?
It won't exist. Break your heart.
Like, if it's on a Thursday, what would B-Day students do? Would they just go online?
Ask the
Yeah, I think that's a great
Because
question.
teachers wouldn't have those days pre-made.
Right.
Because though they're planning to have those lessons in person. Like even a couple teachers have been
Yeah.
wondering about snow days.
Right, I think it's, with the cohort, it does complicate it a little bit more than, some districts saying, okay, we're in person, but you're just virtual. It's not, this one day you're virtual because the teacher then has the time to, connect. So we'll talk about it. I don't think I have an answer for you directly right now. So we'll work that out.
So my kids are a lot older and I have joked with them and said, you guys are so lucky because a snow day was like a celebration, I know, everybody was so psyched. I'm like, there can't be snow days anymore.
We had our snacks and movies picked out. And I was the teacher.
And planned it the day before.
Planned it the day before.
It's gonna be the saddest thing in the world if we're like, children, make sure and take your laptops home with you today. They're gonna be like, oh, snow day. It's like, we have, honestly, we do see at times at the high school level, we've had kids that have been out for a while that have come in with like paperwork saying in hand, I can come back in, let me back in, that type of thing. Because I think probably as a society, we have, even probably for the most extreme introverts, we have probably now gained an appreciation of what that means. We try to greet the kids at the door and meet them coming in. That's how I could introduce Ethan to Mr. Burkhalter coming in one morning. I think just realizing what we missed out on April and May, and in many ways, as a society, we're missing out as a whole. I think it's probably a greater appreciation to some degree.
Yeah, I would imagine, because then.
Even without that.
Really, if we want to
I love
complain on Monday.
Yeah.
So please take it back, from this whole group. Thank you to student council and everything that you guys are doing. This is, you had to be more creative than most years. So it's definitely awesome that you're providing at least some experience, for your fellow classmates and those at the school. Thank you.
And I told the teachers today, if they dressed up, that they either need to wash their pajamas before your pajama day.
That's teachers.
Or do they need to wear
excited
different
about
pajamas?
days.
Because the teachers get 2 pajama days.
Yeah.
this week, so.
There we go.
Do you still have the,
No.
no?
Toga day?
Yeah, toga day.
Oh, I'm gonna rid of that, yeah.
Really? No toga day?
That's been gone, that's been gone for a long time.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah,
That was
Too
fun.
much skin.
Just a little shoulder.
They did a great job picking days this year.
It sounds like fun stuff.
That probably would have been the 5th day that we had.
Yeah, they would have got a fit.
The COVID day is Wednesday.
Or another
This
pajama
Wednesday.
day.
This Wednesday, not next Wednesday. This Wednesday.
Good catch, Mr. Brandon.
So thank you for your creativity. Board report. All right, so the school board convention is going to be virtual, and Donald Driver is going to speak just so you know. So as information comes out, we will notify Beth if we want to be able to participate with that. Other topics are going to be multicultural education, equity, and those will be a lot of the breakout sessions. Obviously, mental health and all the things we've been discussing tonight. But it sounds like they're trying to put together a pretty good program. It will all be virtual though. Regional 6 meeting, Beth forwarded to all of you the recorded meeting. If you wanted to watch, it was short and sweet. It was a little bit right at 1 hour. Mary Jo Roz was reelected as our Regional 6 director to WASB. Marina, did we lose? Oh, no. Marina, you received the level 3 award, and we have it right here for you. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And Vicki and myself, we received the level 4 award. So Vicki, yours is right here. Tom, Kim, and myself all attended. I'd like to thank both of you for attending. It was interesting how it was done and to see how other participants participated. One of the things that they were talking about was the budget, and it's estimated to be 0.6% below the original projections, which wasn't as bad as what they had anticipated. We don't know what the financial state is going to be for next year because of COVID. And so the recommendation from the state is to reduce costs in your school district because they just don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 years as far as taxation and collecting taxes for employers. The projections are that 2021 through 2023, that the legislature will not increase taxes. That's what they're anticipating. The hope that the funding will be flat across all areas is a goal that we should all hope for, because that would be, during the time of COVID, that would be a good goal. The legislature will probably eliminate hold harmless. They don't know that for a fact, but that's the way they're leaning. They want the school districts in the state to document all dollars spent on virtual learning and additional costs because of COVID. This information should be presented to the state by each district in great detail. They have concerns that the legislator will not appreciate that virtual learning is not as good as face-to-face. They believe the legislator is going to think that virtual is perhaps better and more economical. And so they're really wanting us to document cost. And no one has any idea of what the cost of COVID is going to be, as far as, like Mike was talking about, all of the additional things that we have to purchase as a district because of COVID. They also spoke that we should set up times after the election to speak to our legislators about additional costs that we've had, as well as needs that we have moving forward, mental health, the academic progress of our students, what that looks like virtually, what that looks like face-to-face. They want us to share what we've done, what has worked well, what has not worked well, and the additional needs in 4K through 12 in order to see academic progress with our students. There's concerns that students have fallen behind, and if that is the case, they want us to be able to share that information and what our ideas are moving forward to get the academics to where we would hope that they would be for those students that possibly did fall behind. So that was pretty interesting. And speaking to our legislators is obviously more difficult, so via Zoom or phone calls. Right now, it's pretty hard to do that with voting coming up here pretty quick, but after that, we should do something as a board, letters, phone calls, to give information, work together to put succinct information together to share, especially as the year progresses. So that's what I have for those two items. And with that, I'd like to consider a motion to move to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.851C to discuss and take action, if appropriate, regarding employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of a public employee over which governmental body has jurisdiction to or exercises responsibility, administrative contract. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I'm going to start with you, Marina.
Aye.
Vicky?
Aye.
Amanda? Matt?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
I vote aye. Did I miss anybody? All right, we are